The main goal is to propose actions, policies, projects, campaigns. So try to leverage loads of people from probably different countries, different backgrounds, different perspectives. So build on that, leverage on that, be open conversations to find proposals. So we will, after a short introduction of the topic, we will give you the possibility to identify the topics we will be discussing in smaller working groups, and then we will provide guidance, keep the timeline framework, and provide you more details, because some rules will apply to each of the working session. And one more thing to keep in mind, beside the main goal of to be concrete and look for proposals, is also to consider the gender perspective. So when you approach a topic and during your to look topic, also considering if different issues could arise from a gender perspective. And so that's it, I think. And now we have Miquel Garcia Prieto from Triodos Bank, Chief Executive Officer of the Spanish branch, and Marcos Equigaran from the Global Alliance on Banking Values. I think I pronounced it wrong, but sorry about that. And so they will provide a quick picture of the topic.
So good morning to everyone. We have a nice introduction from James Baccaro for those who were at the auditorium about what banking on values could look like, about this change of the sense of banking going to dealing and moving money with a social purpose instead of moving money for making money out of. I think we can just observe what happens today when we go to a bank. So when a saving person go to a bank, and he goes there with the money and with a clear interest. I want my money to be safe. I want my money get it back whenever I want, be liquid, and I want my money to give me as much return as possible. And on the other side, where an entrepreneur, organization, a company comes to the bank, they also come with a clear interest. I want the money from the bank as more risk as possible. I want the money to be paid back to the bank whenever it fits me, so if possible, the longer term possible, and I want to get my money at the cheapest price possible. So in principle, with this system from both perspectives, we are creating competitive money, where the same money is requested for different interests from both sides. And that's a bit how we look at banks today, how we relate with money today in many cases. And when we change the perspective and we go to perspective of banking on values, I think what we are able to do is introduce some new dimensions. The first one is introduce this dimension that the money I put at the bank as a saver is not put it in a box, safe as a treasure, waiting there for me and producing some interest, but we realize more and more that that money is immediately being lent to someone. So that money is becoming active in society for the very first moment I put it in the bank. So at the moment we realize that it's not stocked there, and we don't look at the money at the bank from this perspective of my interest, but we start to recognize what is the impact of that money in society. In one hand, we get, I think, more responsible about what is the mandate I gave to my bank about how to use that money, and we also have the opportunity to make that money much more working according to our view. And also from the perspective of the entrepreneur and on the company, if we put some purpose on that money, the entrepreneur can, of course, they have a debt, but they don't have a debt. They have some people that is interested, understanding, some savers, understanding what is the mission of that money, interested on supporting their deal. So it's nothing to do if I go to the bank looking for security, liquidity, and profitability, or if I go to the bank and I go with the interest, I want my money to produce something valuable of society. And this initial competitive money that I mentioned at the beginning, in this banking on values, becomes much more on a collaborative money. I want as a saver that money is serving you, is facilitating that you as an entrepreneur, as a company, can produce something valuable for society. So this change of perspective in the sense of money, in the movement of money, and in the purpose of money changed completely, and in a way balance the individual good that is present in the first image, so I want to be safe, liquid, and have profit, and balance quite a lot with the common good. This money can be useful for society, so then I can be responsible, I can be active, and we can rediscover the role of money that James explained quite well, that money is not a good that we have to keep, is not useful for anything. It's just not useful for eating, it's not useful for building anything, it's not useful for making the car working, is mainly useful to facilitate that other people can fulfill their purpose of life. So if we as savers are starting to be responsible of our money, and we as entrepreneurs are really committed with our purpose of life, money recovers the original or the essential sense. And banks with values can start to work on these dimensions of creating the awareness on the saver. Well, the money is not your treasure you keep, your money is something that is active in society, so take responsibility on it. The role of transparency. The bank should be able to explain the savers, well, your money is going to be used in this, and this, and this, and the role of purpose of money. The bank should have a policy, well, I want that the purpose of money in society brings these other things. And the other dimension I wanted to put here for the session, for the working session there, is that we also can observe different qualities of money. We are very much used, mainly here in Europe, on two qualities of money: the saving money, so we are used to go to the bank and have our money saved there for a while, and we are used to the consumption money. We spend the money to buy goods, to buy things, to satisfy our needs. But we are not so familiar with the donation money and with the investment money. And if we try to afford all societal challenges with saving money or with consumption money, we are not able to touch social needs that required of donation money, so money that does not need to be repaid and does not need to be productive, is used for just solve some issues that are needed to solve. And if we don't use money for investment, all these new initiatives have difficult access to the money they need to be developed. So we have to be aware that saving money is used in a saving context, so it can be lent in a saving context, and we as citizens or people needs to take responsibility on the money and start to observe, well, what is my own P&L, what is my own balance sheet? How much of my incomes I dedicate to savings, how much of my incomes I dedicate to donation, how much of my incomes I dedicate to consumption, what that kind of consumption I have. So we could, in a way, start to think, what is my individual balance sheet in terms of social responsibility of money. So it's not only about banking on values, it's also about our own. We, in the end, that's a saying, in the end we are all bankers. We are all managing money, we are all lending money to the bank, we are all investing money in our house or in our cars, we are all donating money to our kids. So let's create more awareness as individuals, and let's be, let's say, more demanding towards our banks on what do we expect from them. Thank you.